Welcome back. We're here again. This is week 4 in the House of Representatives. Amazingly enough, we heard 2 bills already today. We're going to hear some more this afternoon. One of which is mine, and we're not going to talk about it because he's over there shaking his head. Erin, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, Erin Schrimpf. Often see me on This Week in Missouri Politics, and some other radio programs, our local Zimmer shows, sometimes on the weekends. So happy to be here.
She is a fixture in the legislature. She's certainly well thought of. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. But yeah, I've done a lot over the years. I started my career actually in local government, which I think we might get to talking a little bit about today. But I started my career in Sly James administration in Kansas City. So I worked for the mayor of Kansas City.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
It was cool. Right after college. Then I went out to D.C. for about 5 years. I went to the Swamp. And I was a presidential management fellow, which was a very cool experience. Unfortunately, President Trump has gotten rid of the program now. Hopefully it might make a comeback and later.
Were you responsible for him getting rid of the program?
No, I've been graduated for a while now, so they can't put it solely on me. But I did a lot of veterans work. Actually, in the first Trump administration, I worked on rewriting our regulations around getting veterans that have other than honorable discharges because of PTSD or other combat-related illnesses. Getting them health care benefits and
Trump's
stuff like that.
done an awful lot for veterans. He doesn't get credit for it.
He does not,
If you remember under the Obama administration how you couldn't get any health related subject fixed at any type of speed. So he made it possible to go outside of the regular system.
Yeah, we did a lot.
It suddenly the 6-month wait became 6 days.
The voucher program was a big, huge.
Worked on choice. So I got to work on choice. We expanded the GI Bill to include a lot more National Guard members and expanded their stipends. So I did a lot of veterans work out in DC. Came back and we had a family and moved back to my hometown.
Beautiful.
Pretty impressive resume.
I think Biden did a lot for that too. He threw everybody out of the military because they wouldn't wear masks, right?
Right. Yeah.
Wasn't there then.
Transitioned them out for other reasons, right? Yeah.
So happy to be back in my hometown. Grew up here in Jeff City, so obviously have an affinity for our state government, our state capital.
What did you do today?
What did I do today? Got over here and I have clients testifying on bills. I work with the Missouri Association of Prosecuting Attorneys, and my good friend who went to high school, grew up here in Jeff City, Cole County Prosecutor Locke Thompson, was in Cameron's committee at noon, testifying for Benny Cook's bill on sentencing reform. So working on a few other things for them, and that's what I've accomplished today, or at least my clients accomplished.
Well, good. Don, what did you accomplish today?
So not much so far. Working on a lot of stuff, and one of them will fit in kind of in your bailiwick with the prosecutor thing. We're trying to get it where we can more consistently put people through a drug court in a pre-plea situation. They're not incentivized to go to drug court if they have to plead guilty, and they're going to end up with a short-term probation anyway. So this way, we can maybe incentivize them to go through drug court, which drug court's pretty good about getting them straight, because they have to meet certain requirements under that. And if we can do it where we can take advantage of the pre-plea arrangement first, then I think we can be a lot more effective on what it is a purpose of our drug courts.
Oh, great. You were also in a hearing.
So there was one of our longtime, we call them senior legislators, presented a bill in Commerce Committee this morning. And while I don't remember a lot of it, it basically revolved around code enforcement issues, but specifically in the building permit process, which every single person I know has a complaint about that process, from the from the town they're in. And that's your bill, Jim.
Yeah.
And
And you know what we do around here is I always say that everybody complains about the weather. We don't do anything about it.
don't do anything about
But
it.
there are certain things that everybody complains about that we can do something about. And we still don't do anything about it.
Yeah.
One of them is getting building permits, and it just takes forever. And I gave the example that I put in a home generator in my house, and I applied for the permit in November, and it was issued in March.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. No, I actually became a little bit more aware of this because obviously Mitch and I was born and
Local
raised here
government,
in Jeff City, but when they had you guys are probably a little familiar with this, but they've had just the hardest time trying to get East Capitol remodeled, and all those old houses belong to one landowner, and the city hockled with years with developers who really wanted to do something with the buildings and stuff like that. And finally, we have a new restaurant. After all these years, they've started doing something with buildings, but a lot of that ran into building. I mean, a ton of it was building.
The delay in issuing the building permit nationally adds 4% to every house.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And most of it unnecessary, as you pointed out on your simple generator install. That's at least 80% of most building permits are building a fence, putting in a generator, doing a bathroom remodel for Pete's sake. And if it takes 3 months to get that building permit, well, your contractor has moved on to something else.
Yeah.
In St. Louis County, you have to get a permit to put in a dishwasher.
Well,
exactly my example.
Yeah. How mad do they get about pools?
Oh my God!
Is that a whole system?
I think I've got a nightmare going on with a pool being built next to me. So we won't get into that.
Okay.
Yeah. In that case, he wants the code enforcement division to give his neighbor a lot of time.
But the most interesting part of the hearing was we had I guess he was an inspector or an ex-inspector from Jennings.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying, we've been working on streamlining the system on this for years and years and years, although it hasn't changed. And he said, I had a contractor come into my office, and this is verbatim. He said, he came into my office, and he was complaining about the length of time it took to get his permits. And I said to him, well, you've been building in this town now for 20 years. And if it was so bad, why didn't you just leave?
Right. Yeah.
And in my summary, I said, that's why we need this bill.
Which was my
that attitude.
Which was my question to him, was exactly that, is that, well, you just told us why we need to do this.
Yeah.
But let's face it, most of these building permits are pro forma. You're building a fence, right? You're doing one of those kind of things that don't require extensive engineering and architecture and things like that. It's going to be mostly done by the individual themselves.
Right.
And it's for that to take 3 months. Your generator install is a perfect example. Should never take 3 months to get that approved. And it should be a simple form fill out, and you show them where you're going to put it, and that's it.
And Jefferson City's building commissioner, I don't know what his title was.
Yeah.
He said, we do that within the limits that were in the bill. Mm-hmm. He said they have a school that they're remodeling, and the plans came in, and they farmed it out to another firm that can look at it quickly. They had the building permits ready in 10 days.
When you have natural disasters like the tornado, was it like how?
Yeah.
What does
there is in the bill a portion for that, and frankly, I don't think it's adequate. I think what we're going to do is change it to say that in a declared emergency by the governor, we will issue an emergency permit, which will allow it to proceed immediately, but it'll still get inspected. Mm-hmm. But if you look at the tornado damage in St. Louis, it's still not been mitigated. Yeah. So this will help that process.
Good.
I love that.
I think you do too. What other bills are you carrying that are interesting to the people, not just you?
So I have a bill which will pay for property tax for the disabled veterans, and the amount of property tax that will be paid will be based on their disability if they're 100% disabled. And the good news with this is it doesn't cost our counties anything. It's paid for by the state of Missouri through an additional tax on cigarettes and vape products. Because right now we are
taxes.
Okay.
It's a 10
Big on
cent
those.
it's a 10-cent tax, and even with the 10-cent tax, we're $1.67 less per pack tax wise than the next
Oh, I'm
closest
sure.
state.
Yeah.
Well,
So that's it. So has that been on the bill before?
No.
Nope. Okay, I was gonna
Before
say,
it was always the county had to
the-
pay for it.
Yeah, counties.
And,
counties
so-
have been against any expansion
Oh yeah,
of the
well
homestead.
they have a legitimate complaint, I believe. We do a great job of giving their money away, and that's what we try to do with these property taxes.
Yeah.
Well, this way it's paid for.
Yeah.
And
I like an offset.
and the good news with it is that anything above and beyond that's not used for property tax reimbursement is swept into the Veterans
now,
Commission.
how do you square that with the fact that the voters of Missouri have turned down an increase in cigarette tax now 15 times?
So they never had a really good reason for going along with it.
Yeah.
Here, I believe that they would actually go along with this tax because of what it's going to.
Are you going to give them the choice? Is this an
I was gonna say,
SJR?
So that's
Is
not
it
currently in the
joint
bill, but I would entertain that as a.
Well, if you're increasing a tax, doesn't it have to go to the voters?
We'll find out.
Okay.
It's that.
Very, very
Find out
simple.
later. It's
Yeah.
we read the bills after.
Yes.
Don't worry about that after.
Didn't
I forgot. We're old
refer-
Nancy's.
we
We
got-
gotta pass it and find out what's
We got
in
to
it.
pass to find out what's in it. Yeah.
Well, let me ask your opinion on some of this
Okay.
stuff. I've got we talked about the Bill Eigel bill that's coming up.
Yeah.
I think that's.
I thought you weren't going to use that.
I forgot. We'll use the Voldemort
Oh, wow.
rule.
Wow.
The name that shall not be
No,
said.
I like
Yeah.
it. Okay. I can get down with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What bills have you seen in the Senate or the House that really interest you?
I haven't seen anything in the Senate. Did they finally do a bill yesterday?
Yes, they did. Actually, they did.
They did the
No,
Mission
they had
bill.
one on the floor.
On
I don't
Misha.
know what it
Right.
was, but
It
was
was
that
Bean,
what it was?
I think it was Senator Bean's Mission bill.
Oh,
I
okay.
think,
Is that what
but-
they had on the floor?
I
Ooh, I bet
think.
that was interesting.
Yeah. So I think just watching the income tax debate I just always having all of these the three policy prongs of our tax policy happening like right now with property taxes, the formula rewrite and the income tax is really interesting that it's all happening right now. It's just
all
kind
major,
of fascinating.
major undertakings.
Well, because whichever levers you decide to pull, these are not small tweaks. They are going to have really long-lasting impacts.
and politically, they're all third rails.
Yeah,
To be honest with you,
they're not.
doing the right
Yeah.
thing doesn't always
Yeah,
have.
and you guys have a
Great
little,
support.
not you two in particular, but with term limits, the kick the can problem becomes really prominent in these big policy debates because you're not going to be here to really see what your future colleagues will have to.
Well, no,
manage.
that's actually an excellent point. Not that you don't have excellent points on everything, but that is a really good one. That we began the process with these HJRs, and then hand that off to the future legislature to consider, and not knowing how they're going to look at what we did with the HJR. So that dynamic will be interesting going forward.
So we have to trust that the future legislators will do the right thing.
Mhm.
And what we hear in the committee on this thing is the public doesn't trust the next guy.
No, they don't. Yeah.
Yet they're the ones that elect us.
I know.
It's kind of an interest.
I would love to see you all do some kind of middle of the road on term limits. And I know some ideas have been thrown out in the last few years, but I've always thought if you all came to some type of compromise on IP reform, that it could include some kind of
Well, once again, as
provision on.
Jimmy pointed out, you talk about third rails. That's the
I
third rail
know.
of third rails.
I know.
Even though it makes what you're saying makes
Yeah.
perfect sense. But
hard to
anytime you
sell.
want to put that out
Yeah.
to the voters,
Yeah.
they're instantly going to think that you're just trying to
Yep.
stretch your
I
time. up
don't
here.
I
think
know.
the voters understand the power they've given to the lobbyists
And the bureaucrats.
agree.
and the bureaucrats.
The bureaucrats.
I mean, we're seniors.
Yep.
And I can sense it now. It's like, oh, well, you don't like it? I'll wait till next year.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be gone.
No,
right.
that's exactly it.
And which is something we're experiencing on a bill that shall go unnamed at this point.
Right.
Is exactly that dynamic that's
Yep.
going on, and we're seeing it. There's where if we just had a 4-year speaker, imagine what the difference would be for the way things move through this building.
Well, we found that out with Todd Richardson.
Mm-hmm.
He was a 3-year speaker, not 4. But in the first year, Todd did everything that was his priority. The next 2 years, he did what was the priority of
the caucus.
the caucus,
Yeah.
which is, with the 2-year speaker, the first year he does his priorities. The second year, he's on his way out.
Yeah,
Tries to,
he's done.
Yeah,
So,
maybe tries to protect some members on
Yeah.
re-election. But yeah.
but that's about it.
Yeah.
Do you find as a lobbyist that people say, well, that guy will be gone next year, don't worry about him?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think you nailed it on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I think you
natural
actually
thing.
time out. Yeah, I mean, people respond to the incentives, the system that you give them. So
Right.
it's not really crazy that lobbyists have
No, I don't blame them. I
changed
would do
their
it.
view of how to game the system. So but I've always felt like if we could find a way to do a 16-year in both chambers, that would be good for the people, good for talent, good for public service.
Well, so as
we've had that bill. But.
As Jimmy pointed out, I've had that discussion with some in your
Yep.
profession, and to win the argument, that was what they fell back on. It was like, you can beat your fist on the table and pound your chest all you want, but you already know something that I know. 8 years from now, you're not going to be here, and I will still be here.
I always found that the sophomores were the target. Freshmen can't get anything done. Sophomores are great.
Mm-hmm.
All the lobbyists go see sophomores because they don't know enough to say no.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point.
Absolutely.
Right?
And they've got just enough influence where they might get something done.
Right.
And
they haven't lost their natural fear of leadership yet.
Right.
Yeah.
And that'll bleed over into the junior year. But once you're a senior,
Nobody cares.
You cannot rein them in.
Yeah.
No, because we already know when we can smell it. When you walk in the room and you throw the stuff on the desk and you say, "Oh, I want you to support this," we can smell whether it's good or bad right off the bat because we've seen it for 8 years.
Yep.
Yeah, and a lot of the old arguments don't work on us anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
heard that.
You've said that before. Never happened, right?
Well, we said this last week. When you're a freshman or a sophomore, they come in, they give this wonderful presentation about why this is a wonderful thing to do, and you're going, yeah, I'll support that. And then the next one comes in, and they give the opposite side, and you're going, ooh, why did I say I'd support this? But by the time you get to be a late junior or a senior, you're going, whoa, I want to hear all of this before I make any commitments.
Or the one you're wet behind the ears freshman, and they walk in, they say, I've got this really great bill.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you'd file it. Well, I actually had one do that to me, and I said, okay, first question I got for you is, I'm a wet behind the ears freshman. Why'd you bring it to me?
Yeah. Well,
and
because my client needs you to file a bill.
And if you were a senior and they
need to
brought you
show
a
'em.
bill, I'd go, why would you bring it to him?
Right.
One thing I have noticed that hasn't changed, because I mentioned I grew up here, and so seeing the place when it didn't have term limits and things like that, the one thing that stays the same is the relationships are still so important, because if you find somebody that you get off on the wrong foot with on your freshman year, man, you all remember that the whole 8 years that you're here, and that does not change.
But some things change. They really do. I remember when Representative Sykes walked into the House chamber the first time with his little Superman suit on.
Yeah.
And I had walked up, and we had Bruce Franks here, who claimed to be the St. Louis Superman. And I walked up to Brian Seitz first day, and I said, we don't need another Superman. And he thought I was like, oh my God, who's this guy? And, Brian's flamboyant, and, I looked at him for the first year, and I went, this guy's kind of nutty.
He's probably going to object to flamboyant.
Yeah. But, 6 years later, I respect everything about the man. He's flamboyant. He does not do things the way I would do them, but he's smart. He has good bills. He works hard. He does all of those things. And I was talking to my son. I said, 10 years from now, if I go down to Branson, I'm going to call Brian Seitz and go out to lunch with him. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just going to happen. So you build relationships too as time goes on. This guy here, and I've said this before, the first time I met him, I thought, crap, does he ever stop talking? And the answer is no.
That actually wasn't the first time. You said that the second time.
Oh, the second day might be.
Right.
But
He had to correct
I look at him as being one of my best friends. And I don't care if he talks a lot, and he will continue to put me down every time I open my mouth.
Of course.
Of course.
It's my
That's your
superpower.
shtick. That's your
Yeah.
guy's shtick.
But he's no worse than Scott Fond.
Yeah.
Scott can talk.
Man, that
Right.
would see. At least you got me today. That would have been.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have gotten a word in, Jim.
Well, I was not going to put him in the middle.
So what do you see as being our big ticket item this year?
Yeah, tax reform. It's
Okay.
the elephant in the room. Whether you do something on property taxes or whether income tax makes it to the ballot, and all of that with the budget. I think next year will be school choice and potentially more public school funding debates, but it feels like that's taken a little bit of a backseat to feel like what revenue are we gonna have
Well, it
to
is.
it. So
Which is important. Why I had
yeah.
done Tabor. We've got a, Ronald Reagan said revenue is not our problem, spending's our problem. And he's right. And we've got to, if we're going to reduce taxes, we've got to rein in spending.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot continue to grow.
Yep.
When we came in, it was $28 billion.
Right.
Today it's 54.
Right.
And it's not a very long time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
nearly doubling, and I would
Some of that's
challenge
Medicaid,
that.
yeah.
Are we getting double the benefit out of
No,
our
we're
government? No,
Yeah.
you hit it right on the head, Jimmy. We don't have a revenue problem. We got a spending problem, and that is where we need to. Well, not just this legislature. Next year, it's going to be rougher than it is this year.
Yeah, and I had said it earlier about the weather, but there are so many things around here that we saw when we came in. We said we need to fix this that aren't fixed.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no reason why we don't fix these things. There was really no reason. We get sidetracked on some stuff that when we came in, boys and girls sports wasn't even on our radar.
Wasn't even on the radar.
Yeah.
It wasn't even talked about.
Yeah.
It was a laughable item as somebody brought it up. And suddenly we spent
You've
at
spent
least
the first month of each
first
session.
month of a
Yeah.
session
Yeah.
talking
On it.
about it.
Yeah.
And not doing the stuff that really matters.
Well, when Jimmy and I came in, we did heartbeat bill right out of the gate,
Mhm.
right? And we looked at each other and we said, well, this is why I came here, right? So if this is what we're going to do every day, well, great. Well, while we've had a few peaks in between, there's been a whole lot more valleys.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
And-
COVID had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
And that did get in our way a lot, but
Yeah.
we had a lot of missed opportunities over our career here. So
Yeah.
And I had a little blow up in committee yesterday. I said, I'm tired of the same arguments. That we come up with arguments that aren't really the arguments. Should we have a November election for tax issues? Of course we should. But the argument is, oh well, no, you can't do it for this and this and that. Well, the real reason to no is we don't believe we could pass it if we take it there.
exactly.
But that's never spoken.
Right.
That's never spoken. What's spoken is, oh, well, government's run by those who show up. Well, no, it's a special interest group that shows up in these low output
It's also
elections.
really not fair to the voter to continually ask them to bear the brunt of democracy by making them show up all of the time
Right.
for ridiculous things that they have lives. They're not here every day digging in the weeds on policy issues. It's kind of
Well,
streamlining
we
that
get
would be
get accused of overturning the voice of the voters.
Mm-hmm.
well.
But here's the truth.
There's some.
This is a representative
Truth in the
government.
middle.
Representative government. We were elected to be the voice of the people.
Mm-hmm.
Good things that are happening. Property tax is truly being
Yeah.
looked at.
Mhm.
We're going to find some way to make this better. And it isn't always about lowering the tax. It's making it more fair.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, our problem with the property tax is we went across the state really came down to the assessments are not fair. They're not done in a proper way. They're, you know, your house is worth this and your house is worth that, and it's just subjective. There's no objective formula to make that happen, which is tough to do. The appeal process is slow and laborious and not reactive to the public. We're looking at that. There's all types of things we can do before we have to throw the whole system out. And I think you're going to see a lot of that come out of the House of Representatives this year. I hope the Senate will follow suit, and I think it will.
And speaking of the Senate, and good news, they took up some business yesterday. So
Yep.
they're starting to move over there.
Yeah.
What did you think of the rule change? I personally thought it was good based off of how they.
I don't know that it was necessary, but if that moved things along, I'm fine with it. You know,
Well, explain the rule change.
well, in order to do a PQ in the Senate, you have to have 10 senators have to sign a letter requesting it.
Mhm.
Well, they changed that to 18.
Which is the same threshold to end
Same
debate.
threshold to
To end
pass it,
debate.
because after the letter goes in, they have to vote on it.
Mhm.
So they're just saying the number of people that signed the letter should be the same number that would pass it. That it's shouldn't make much of a difference. And the other one was a bill has to lay over 24 hours before you hear it.
That might make your all's job a little harder.
No, well, that's what it is in the House.
Job, but
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is in the
okay.
House.
Right.
They objected in the Senate because they push things through, you know, almost instantaneously. We can't do that in the House, so.
But it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
There should be the opportunity to review what has been done
Right.
and what is being proposed. And you know, we made the Nancy Pelosi joke earlier, but that's exactly what the situation we were in. If things were getting passed, and then you were finding out what it did.
You know, there's
Well, I was from my time in DC. One of my favorite places was Monticello. I was going down to Charlottesville and seeing the Jefferson's home and things. So, there's a lot to be learned there. I think.
You know why the staircases are so narrow?
I don't remember from the tour.
Because Jefferson was a form follows function guy, and
he was an engineer.
Architect probably, but he didn't want to waste space on narrow staircase or wide staircases.
They point out all kinds of things that he did mathematically strange for the time that the house was built, so it's hard to remember all of them.
Well, here's a positive thing, and we'll end on it. We're looking at the 250th anniversary of this country.
Free country.
And, you know, I think that is worth celebrating.
That is, yeah.
So there's only a handful of legislators who were actually alive for the 200th anniversary and the 250th anniversary. And folks, you're looking at two of them, right?
That's right. I had an argument with one of the Democrats last night. And when I told her my age, she said, "You are not." I had to show her my driver's license.
That's what you guys argued about out of all the things.
Well, this was at an event. It was not on the.
Sometimes we run out of stuff.
Sometimes you run out of stuff and you just gotta argue.
Well, thank you for coming.
Of course, thank you for having me. We've been talking about it for a while.
We have.
Glad I got to be here finally.
And come back. Yeah. Later in this session when we actually have more bills and stuff to.
Well, when your bills are over in the Senate, we don't have anything else to do.
Yeah, we'll do that. And next week we'll try to get something to do. We'll try to get Scott Fawn over here to listen to him.
Set the bar for you, Scott. Now you're on the hook.
We will we will go through and edit out all of the things that that guy said.
Oh no, with Scott you're gonna have to, it will be your hardest editing.
Oh no,
Jim.
we can't do that. We can't do that. But Erin, thank you so much. We really appreciate you being here.
Thank you
for stopping by.
Yeah.
All right. That'll be it.